And since they hadn't, I don't know what.
Like the tracing?
Yes. So they didn't do that on the father's phone because they really weren't expecting something like that. They weren't able to find out where the call was coming from.
Ugh.
But anticipation of yet another call, they went ahead and they put a tracer on the phone. So if it happened again, they'd be able to get some information.
Isn't that like the first thing they typically do? Is tag the phone?
I thought so, but maybe they didn't think that they would call the dad because the dad wasn't really a big part of the family. I mean, he was a part of the family, of course,
right.
But he wasn't in the family home at the time.
It's true.
So you'd think that the phone, if there was going to be a call made, it would have been directly to the mother.
It's true.
So eventually, the FBI came across a witness, a little boy named Thomas, and he told them that he and his friend had gone to a video store around 9 p.m. that night that Polly disappeared, and he had seen a man outside the Klaas residence. And like everybody else in the neighborhood, he knew everyone, but he didn't recognize this man. But when they walked back past the Klaas home on their way back from the video store, he was still there. He said that the man was between 32 and 35, which is...
For a little kid,
yeah.
That's pretty...
And how old was this little kid? I mean, it was 9 o'clock at night and he was walking around by himself. But anyway. And he said that the man was between 5'10 and 6'3", with thick, wavy, salt and pepper hair and a full beard, with age lines on his forehead and around his eyes. So he had to been pretty damn close.
Well, hold on. Like 5'10" and 6'3". It's
and don't forget the age lines in his forehead. So, I mean, how close was this kid?
Right, and that's a big... I'm sorry, but that height that's a big difference in height, unless he was sitting.
Well, it's, what, 5 inches? It's not a lot. 5 inches?
I know, if you stand somebody that's 5'10" next to somebody that's 6'3".
Well, I guess. But I was more impressed that he actually saw that he had a thick beard and...
Well, the beard should be...
age lines on his forehead. I mean, from far away, how far away were you? I mean, remind me, don't frown. So like I said, I'm not sure how old this boy was, but I have to give him props for remembering that much detail. The next witness story would be the most disturbing to me. When interviewed, there was a neighbor behind the Klaas residence that said they looked out their window and saw a man by the back door of the Klaas home, and he looked like he was going to go in, but he didn't. They went on to say they'd never seen this man before and thought it was super strange for him to be hanging around outside the Klaas home, but they didn't want to get involved, and that's why they didn't call the Klaas. They could have at least called Eve, the mom, and told them this, and they didn't call the police. How fucking stupid are you?
You see something, you say something. You don't have to get involved. You can just say, hey.
You don't want to get involved, but there's somebody outside your a single mother's home?
Well, my thing is, it's like, just call them. You're not getting involved just by placing a call.
I would have been like, what the fuck are you doing out there?
Yeah, who are you?
Standing around. Who are you? Get the fuck out of here.
Right. I don't know, but
that's just me.
We're
I'm
jerks.
Getting wound up.
Jerks / caring neighbors.
I just feel like sometimes people are real pussies.
They are.
You're afraid? Get over yourself. Anyway, I'm getting wound up, so let me get back to this.
Okay.
So Polly's father received a second call, and once again, the person on the other line said it was Polly. But like I said, the investigators were prepared this time. So they traced the call immediately to a residence only 14 miles away, headed there, and entered the home like they
kicked
were
down the
balls
door.
Out
Yeah,
getting in that house. And there was a family there that was completely confused, like, what in the hell is going on here?
Like in the middle of dinner.
Yeah, like...
and their door just pops off.
They're doing their charades, and so the police bust through the door. Anyway. Just remember, we have a soft spot, but we also have a sick sense of humor. Yes. And it's not that we're trying to be disrespectful or anything.
No, because that family...
That's...
Like, if somebody kicked down my door in the middle of dinner...
Get the fuck out of here!
I was like, what the fuck you think you're doing? You're gonna pay for that.
Yeah. So, a teenage girl at this residence ended up confessing that she had been the one calling as Polly. After a dare by her friends. You little bitch.
I hope they kicked down her bedroom door.
I'll tell you what, if I was her parents, I'd beat her ass myself.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
My daughters are old enough now, so don't call child welfare on me. So now they had no Polly and they had no suspect. Now, little did the authorities know, but they already had come in contact with Polly's abductor once. But I'll get to that. A $10,000 ransom call was received by the police department soon after for the return of Polly. But once again, the call was traced to an apartment in Petaluma. The investigators burst through the door, and they found a shocked 20-year-old standing there with his mouth hanging open, and he too was a fraud and a little piece of shit.
I'm sorry. All I can picture is like the Kool-Aid man busting through their wall.
Well, that might have been how it is. I mean,
oh yeah,
and the door frames and that little safety chain there on the door getting broken off with the door frame, but it's still hooked. But the door frame comes off. So anyway,
sorry.
This little piece of shit was trying to make money off of someone else's pain.
What is wrong with
shame
these
on
people?
You. Trying to make money off of grieving parents. These parents are grieving for their daughter, not knowing what's going on.
They don't know if she's dead or alive, and then you get these little assholes claiming that she is, and we don't know.
So Polly's parents are desperate. They were but they weren't losing hope. They actually, I don't know if it was the mom or the dad who put in the paper the following. It said, "Whoever you are, wherever you are, please return Polly to her family. She belongs here. We miss Polly so much. We miss the twinkle in her eye and her sweet humor. We long to see her beautiful smile and hear her musical voice. Our darling, if you can read this, please know that your mommy and daddy love you so much and will continue to search for you until we can hold you safely in our loving arms." I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Her mother even burned a candle in the window every night while Polly was missing. So the police didn't know their answer was right there in their own records the entire time. And that's because the night Polly was abducted, the police were called to the property of Dana Jaffe. She lived about 20 miles north of Petaluma. Jaffe had returned home around 11 o'clock at night after work to her daughter and babysitter. The babysitter left shortly after and headed down their private road. It was on private property. So when she saw a car stuck in a ditch, she thought it was kind of odd because it's private property.
Right.
A man waved down the car for her to stop, and he put his hands on the hood and demanded that she get out of the car. When she refused, he asked her how far to the next town and what was up the road. The babysitter could smell his body odor. That's how close he was. Why'd she freaking roll the window down, for one thing? Why'd you stop?
And when you put your hands on there and say,
"Yeah,
this, reverse and go.
Get the fuck off my car."
Yeah, who do you think you are? See, she could have dealt with it right then and there. Just run his ass over.
So anyway, she smelled his body odor and his bad breath, and frankly she was probably scared shitless, so she got out of there ASAP. Headed for town and the nearest payphone. So when she got to the payphone, she called Jaffe and told her about the man and told her that she should probably get out of there just to be safe. And she did with her daughter. She grabbed a baseball bat, which, cool.
I have my baseball bat.
Got her daughter in the car and headed down the private driveway, passing Davis. That's him. And as he stood on the side of the private road, she called 911, and 2 deputies were dispatched. When they got there, the man was near his car smoking a cigarette, sweating profusely, even though it was a really cold night. Well, really cold night in California, what, 60?
Yeah.
So they asked him why he was there on private property and proceeded to tell them that he was going to meet a relative in Redway Valley. And I don't really know how close that is in proximity, but it's just a story anyway. So he had stopped to look at the view. He got...
Middle of the night.
Yeah. He stopped, he got stuck and was putting some leaves and brush underneath the tires to give it traction to get out of the ditch. But when the police looked under the tires, there was nothing under the tires or around them.
What the fuck is wrong with him?
This asshole. So, that's a huge red flag.
Look, I came out here just for the view.
On a private road.
In the middle of the night.
You fucking idiot. I'm sorry, I got a bad mouth today. This, I'm going to just say it. This pissed me off.
It's pissing me off.
I could see, and wait till you see what he does and shit like that. I wanted to throttle him myself. I'm getting wound up just sitting here. So now, all of this would have been a huge red flags for investigators if they were aware of the abduction of Polly Klaas. But since the time would have coordinated perfectly, the abduction was heard over the police scanner, but here's the thing, it wasn't heard over the police scanner.
Uh-oh.
Their scanner was on the wrong frequency at the time, which meant they didn't hear it.
But so even like not knowing that there's a possible child abduction,
right?
This moron is sitting in the fucking middle of the woods in the middle of the night, and he's parked there for the view.
Well, we
want to see everything in your car, mister.
Wait, well, I'm going to get to that. You're way ahead of me.
Sorry.
So officers could tell the man was intoxicated. However, when he took a sobriety test, he passed it with flying colors. So he must have been a big-time drinker, and he was used to all them tests.
Some people learn the alphabet backwards on purpose.
That's crazy.
I don't.
And his driver's license came back clean. However, it wasn't the truth at the time. When police ran his driver's license, they only found driving violations, not criminal activity, because back then it didn't show up that way.
That's bullshit.
I know. So since he didn't even have a driving violation, really, he just had like misdemeanor things, they couldn't hold him. So the deputies tried to convince the property owner, which was that Dana, to make a citizen's arrest on him, which I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, you can do that.
Which under California law means a citizen can make an arrest for this type of misdemeanor by just saying, I arrest you. I wish we could do that here.
You can sit it like if somebody's being an asshole, or like the that airplane thing we watched.
Oh yeah, when they duct taped them.
Yeah, that they could have just been this is a citizen's arrest and duct tape his hands together and called it a day.
I really want to do that.
One day you'll be able to, I'm sure.
So they wanted her to do this, and she refused.
Why don't they just arrest him?
Because she didn't want to make an arrest that he was on private property.
No, you're lying, sir, and I still want to check your car.
No, they didn't do it. Oh, well, they did do that part, So they had no other choice but to call a tow truck to help him get out of the ditch. But while they were waiting for the tow truck, the police waited, and they asked him if they could search his car again, and they found an open container of beer, which he tried to drink in front of them. But of course, they made him dump it out. But he didn't really seem to give a shit.
He's just a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Yep. So,
right there, the open container. They could have got him on.
Well, he wasn't. Here's the thing, Kelly, and I know this from my husband. If you're not sitting behind the steering wheel, you can't prove that you were drinking and driving.
No, but in New York, you still get busted for an open container.
I don't know if they do that there. maybe, I don't know. Because I know in Louisiana